class and going to sharpen the pencil and get ready to draw this paintbrush right here. And I'm going to draw it lightly in pencil and do it in Micron Pen. I like to have a very sharp pen. We're going to start out by just doing a line drawing, so then we could do a Pentel or pen line work drawing over the pencil drawing. So looking just for shapes, so we're going to put a rectangle, which is just go like this, put the rectangle in for the paintbrush part, then add on another rectangle for this part right here. So we got two and a little square right here, and then come in a little bit, like curve it in right here and right in here. So we're going to come in like this and just follow this right here. So now we have that go straight across with perpendicular line, and then it just sort of comes out just a little bit like that. So you're just going to jut that out like that and curve this around here like a semicircle, just grabbing shapes where you can, and follow this, and this comes out, this juts out a little bit like this. Okay, so you have that. This put all in, and this angle right here with this piece here, you can straighten out, make these lines a little bit longer. I just get rid of lines as I go, and you can erase these later. So you have this piece right in here, follow like that. So let's put these long lines here. They're in the middle. This follows this shape here. There's actually two, so I'm going to add that one there and then do this little piece of extra metal there. So this comes down here and follows the shape underneath there. Same here. And make sure you come underneath it like that, so you're getting that three-dimensional feel right there. So this metal goes up a little bit, then we're going to hit that first curve, so we get a little semicircle there, come like that, another curve, and right there and there. So that's good. And just straighten some of this out. I'll erase all these other lines in a minute off camera. Okay, so I'm going to put this little circle. This is where the paintbrush would be held onto a hook, and then there's that. So it's like a little oval inside there. So it feels like you're going into the brush. So we're going to add on to these little pieces here, and we'll do the line work later. And okay, I think we're good like that. So now I'm back, and we're going to do the line work, which all I do is I follow everything by just neatly going wherever the lines are. And just twist your paper, because you're not going to be able to get real straight lines without moving your paper around, and it just helps a lot. So then just follow whatever you have there, and it'll look okay when you put all the other details in. And this is really a practice drawing anyhow. Just keep moving everything around. Okay, now this one I'm going to go in the front just so I can see what I'm doing. So I've got everything put in where it's longer. I'm just going to go right there, and this goes a little, there's little details where you go up on the little pieces of metal. It just looks really nice when you add those little tiny details. Okay, Max, my dog, is here with us. He does not like this cold weather. We're still in cold weather here in New England. Okay, and just following all the lines that we already pre-drew. Okay, and when you get to the edge, you sort of drop down, and that way it looks like it bends. So you're just trying to like be as cognizant of the details. Okay, so like coming right here and then bend it and come like that. And so this part would go like this, so it comes up like that, and it's a piece of metal, and connect right here. So this goes a little bit further down, and then the little hairs, the bristles. Okay, so we're going to fill all these in a minute. I'm just putting these in so you can see what's going on. So everything is put in right now for our initial line work, and Put this big circle in. And there. So everything's in now. And what I'm going to do is go back, erase any unneeded lines, and then I'll start in with the details. So I'm back and ready to start in with the line work, but before I do, I'd like to ask you to subscribe and hit the bell for further notifications and be part of our classroom. So now what I'm going to do is take the, oh, I got to put that back. I did use that to scrape away, brush away all that little residual eraser marks. Now we're going to do the line work. Well, we'll start with doing the bristles. So it's just really nice straight lines going horizontal. And you can see that some get thicker than others. And you don't care if they're like not perfect. You would never take a straight edge here. You just want to hand draw all this. Take your time. This is relaxing, just being able to make all these lines, and it adds to your practice time. You know, you're practicing without having to be practicing in a box right now. So you just, or on a blank piece of paper, just keep them neat, and you can get some closer than others. And we'll just neaten them up in a minute, just putting them in. The Micron Pen's super nice because it can use the, you can use the side of the pen and get really thin lines, or you know, you go straight forward with it, go like this, and you'll get a like more even line. And you just practice, and you sort of just like figure it out what you want the line to look like, and you'll have a good time. I really enjoy working with Micron Pen. I like the detail that you can get with it. You have to snap it shut though, because if you don't, it dries out really quickly. Now you could also do this with just a regular pen, a ballpoint pen, or a marker, or anything you have, even a pencil. I'm just using the Micron Pen because I really like working with them. Okay. I'll put the link in for this pen for you in the description. Okay, so, alright, so now we have the, oh, I have to do the sides here. Now, right now, after we get these in, and I still have a lot more detail to do with the bristles, you see what lines do? Just the straight lines here give you the bristle effect, but all the other lines, we could end it right now and you know it's a paintbrush. But we're going to go a little further because we just want to make sure that we use more line work on our drawing and make it more interesting. So I'm going to start with, I'm just going to color this little oval in dark because it's when you go into the center, it's going to be dark as you go in there. So we may as well put some line work in there too. So we're going to do some really short lines and do that like that. So that gives you the effect that it's going in that way. So I'm just going to darken this edge coming right here, just thicken some of my line work here. Okay. And I'm going to go over here. So I'm just going to go around and sort of thicken areas I want to make it look a little bit more bold. I might get a little bit thicker in some areas. It's okay, because once you do other line work, it'll look really nice. So Thursdays we have a class in drawing, and Mondays I do my regular painting while I just paint. And in between I do shorts, where on the shorts are 60-second videos or shorter. And I'll just sort of do some techniques with you, or just drawings and paintings I've done in my past, and do a compilation. Okay. See, so I'm just going to go right along this edge and darken all these little ends. Tie them up a little bit. And it starts to give the drawing a little bit more definition too. So I move the paper around just because I'd like to make sure I'm utilizing the line work the best I can. I can see better when you move it around. You don't have to keep it just in one way. Max is under the table and he's starting to sleep. He just ate lunch. Okay. Okay, Max is my dog. Okay, so great. So now we have the beginning of the metal, the wood, and the bristles, and we have texture here. And that's kind of like what we're looking to do, is bring texture in and yet keep it neatly done. And what we're going to do is, we did practice doing vertical, horizontal, and diagonal lines last week. So let's do some just regular vertical lines right on this piece here. And they're not really close right now, and I'll probably change my mind in a little bit. And as this curves, let's just do some line work right in here and just follow that. And what that will do is give it the effect that it's curving around. Same here. Now we could leave that like that, and we'll probably not. We'll probably go and do some other work with that, but at least it gives you, now you're having things where you're moving lines just by the way you do the line work. So okay, so now on the metal here, I'm going to darken this, and I'm going to come across on the back side of this. See, I'm getting a little bit darker. What that's going to do is push this part up. There we go. And same on the other side. Now what I'm doing is I'm creating the white part that's going to stick out by just doing that. So we're not doing line work per se, but you still can do fill-ins like this, where you're just taking your whatever you're using, a pencil, the Micron pen, your Sharpie marker, or your pen, and it's okay if you just do the thickening of a line. It's still pen work. Okay, and make it kind of neater. Okay, and same here. So right here there is a split in the metal, so we're going to do that. Let's put the split in right now. Okay, and same here, just a tiny little line right there. Good. And let's do that. So I'm going to just go right, follow that here, and I'm just trying to just leave that thin white right like that, and come around like this. Okay, and I'm going to do the same to the other two lines, but I'm going to move this like this because I need to see better. I think it does a better job. This is relaxing for you to come home from a hard day at work, or you want a break, you just want to practice drawing something. You can take things out of your junk drawer, or off your desk, your keys, a piece of popcorn, anything really, and make art out of it. It's all like practice as well, and that's what we're doing right now, is practicing, but we're making a drawing that you can keep. And this is copy paper. It's just right out of your copy machine, so it's not actual drawing paper. When you get a drawing paper, it will hold up better because it's made to hold up to different techniques and different medium. Okay, so like that's starting to really look like it's sticking out more, and we'll do a little bit of thin line later, but we're just trying to get this in and look nice. I'm going to just do that one last set of lines here. And you can leave in the comments what you'd like to draw. We can do a series, or we could just do random things. I pretty much pick random things because I like to make like anything art. So I was thinking I would just pick things for us to practice. And next week we'll be doing Pointillism, which is a series of dots and a dot pattern, and stippling, which is a dot pattern with a little bit of a line attached to it. And that really adds to the detail of your drawing when you can do Pointillism, or you can do the stippling and Pointillism, and you can mix them in with just regular line work. It really, then you can pick and choose when you what technique you want to use. Okay, so I have that. Okay, so that's good. I'm gonna fix my brush there. All right, so you can see that we have the beginning of the metal. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do, is move into the bristles. So we're just doing these little short marks are going to thicken the ends. Look at, we're just doing these little short dashes of lines, which are horizontal. You could do a few little random ones like that, because look, it'll make it look like, even though the brush isn't doing that, it will make it look more interesting. So by doing these little dashes, it thickens, and then do some on the ends. It changes the look of the brush too, because remember the brush is two-tone. And just come all the way down. Okay. All right, so now we have a bunching effect. So if you want to even go in here more, let's just do that. And here we go. There, it's all looking better. Now, you see what line work does is now we're getting a thicker look. This gets so it feels like you could touch it, and that's what you want to do, and it's just a matter of adding more detail. Okay, so on the side, I want it to look darker, because then it starts to give me that effect of three-dimensional. So I'm just going to do these really long lines, and I'll get a little bit short tight ones there, so I can get it make a little darker here, so it looks like it's coming right out of that piece there. Okay, and just do really nice, neat random lines, because you're not doing anything. Remember, never use a ruler to do any of this, because you're hand drawing this. There's a time to use a ruler. This isn't the time. This is for us to practice line work and make it a random drawing in a way, because you don't know where the lines are going to hit. You're not planning them per se. But now you got that thickness that we're looking for. So let's draw this a little bit darker on the edges here, just to define this a little bit more right in here. Okay, so the metal has a different look than the wood. I'm going to put in these little see those little nail heads? Put those in, one right there and one right here. There's actually a difference, and this should be thicker over here. Let's thicken that out a little bit. I made a mistake there. I didn't account for this piece here. It's okay, because I can make that. Okay, let's see this mistake here. It is a mistake, because look, I need that to be the same distance from here to here. I'll make good of those lines when we go to do the metal part. So what I want to do is I want this metal part to look like it's a gray tone, but not all the way through, because there's areas. So what I'm going to do is you could actually do it in pencil first. I'm going to do light lines with, do you see the side of the Micron pen can actually do these really faded light lines, because I'm not pressuring the pen very much. I'm just lightly, actually I am, but I'm not. I'm using the side of the pen. Let's see. Looks like it's drying out, but it's not. It shouldn't be. Okay, so, all right. So what I did is I first of all didn't have a lot of pressure, and my lines are a little bit different in the difference in the way the length is and how far they are apart. So it gives like a more interesting look too. So I'm going to go right here and do the same. See, it's not dried out. It's just the way I did it on the side. Okay. So now you're getting a different look by your line work and where you put it, in what direction, and how tight the lines are to give it like a metallic look. And I'm going to do that right in here. So what I could do is then follow like this line here, just follow it right there, a couple more lines like this, and a couple just to follow lines like this. All right, same here. I'm just going to put a couple more lines right in here, and right in here. So I'm starting to establish that this is not a bristle. This is not the wood, that we have this more like a metal look. So I'm going to do some random pieces in there. And I'm going to leave this white line up here. This is where the highlight is. So I'm going to draw this right there, and I'm not going to touch that line right there. So I'm going to go really tight vertical lines like this and go all the way across. And same here, all the way across on both sides, and right there, and right there. Okay, so we have that. Then I have a metal piece that comes across like this, and I'm going to take those vertical lines and go on the other side of that and kind of curve. When I get to the bottom, kind of curve inward so that it gives that effect that goes underneath. The metal piece goes underneath the brush. So, okay. There and there. All right, so that gives that side view now that it's turning. So I'm just gonna do some more line work right in here to give myself a little bit more like a gray tone. And yeah, right in here. Okay, so we have a gray like look right in here. Can even just do a few more and skip spaces so that it does have a finished look there. So the next thing I would do is I want to make this look thicker. So I'm just going to use, I don't want to draw long lines. I'm just going to go and make more of these vertical lines, make them really nice and neat. They're not as thick as the other lines I originally put down, because I just want this to appear to be more or less the edge coming across. So now I've established a cross-hatching pattern on just that piece by just going over it. So now you have your first cross-hatching going on, and we'll come all the way across. And you can see some of my lines don't always meet the ends, which is fine. You take your time and you can actually just bring them closer, experiment with making them further apart, and yeah, here we go. And now you have the edge that's defined, and this is going to be another area that cross hatches right on the end here. There, that's it. Okay, so I want to kind of neaten this over here up, so I'm going to go around this edge and tighten this up a little bit, make this more defined. Same there, so that when it's coming around the edge it's a little bit neater. I want this to stick out a little bit more right in here. Okay. Plus the darkness adds to it, the more interesting part of it. I do like that. So I'm going to do this again to define this area right in here, and thicken this line right in here. So let's do some cross hatching, which would be the going across on line work. And we're going to do that right on this edge. So we're just going to come across with these horizontal lines on top of the vertical lines. That way you're practicing your cross hatching. Now if I want to, I can actually then go in a different direction. So instead of doing that on that direction, I'm going to do cross hatching on this piece right here. So now I'm going to go on the a diagonal on the verticals, and I'll turn that around and go diagonal in the opposite direction. Now you're getting a more complicated cross hatching, but it looks super nice. And I can go again and go horizontal. So now I have the vertical, the horizontal, and two diagonals on it. It gets a little bit darker when you do that. And that's nice because now I differentiated that piece from the metal, and the wood comes in here, so it feels like it's going that way. So let's do some cross hatching right in here, make it this a little bit nicer. Just turn the paper. Use your paper angled. It just makes it easier for you. And now we have some nice cross hatching there. I think we should cross hatch the rest of the the paintbrush handle. So let's do that. We don't have to get as dark as this piece because we want that to remain like that. So we're just going to go on a diagonal. And you don't have to pressure it really hard. You can see that I'm not doing as much of a pressure as I did on those lines. I just want something nice and neat. And I'm not going to go another direction. I think I'll just leave it like these two directions. So it's a vertical with a right diagonal that's just going to make it look a little bit nicer. And it's practice for you, plus it gives you some nice line work. I don't like the bottom here, so I'm going to straighten out some of this. And so I am going to come up a little bit on the left diagonal here. And straighten up this down here. It's just being neat with your pen work. Same here, just go. Look for areas that you kind of want to make look a little bit different than what you see. And I think so, same here. I'm going to come down more in this opposite direction. And I can actually bring some of those down and make those a little bit neater. Let's do the same here. So now you have that. Could go like this and just feather some of those lines in. Okay, so that's goes like that. So now we have this bend. I think we need more work on the bristles. So we're gonna add to those, and we're gonna add two shadows because you have the light sources showing two shadows. So those will go in soon. And I'm just gonna like put some more work into the brush because I want it to look a little bit nicer. Just because this is darker than the front part, I'm gonna tighten some of those lines up. So just gonna take your pen and tighten up the lines between each line. So you're putting more lines between each line, and it just gives you a really nice look on the pen work. And by doing all that, it gives the paintbrush a little bit different look, a darker look on the bristles than the front end of it. And all you see is you're just making these lines, and they become the texture and gives the paintbrush the personality that it needs. You know, everything does have a personality when you draw it, and I think the interpretation of drawing a paintbrush for each one of us would be different just by the choice of line work we do. And our hand pressure is different. Okay, so now we have it a little bit darker. And when I get over here, I think I'm going to go on the ends here just to make this look a little bit lighter. I'm going to darken it by just pulling right here, right on the edge, some more. See, so I can kind of make that look like it's two-tone. And I'm not doing any cross-hatching, I'm just strictly doing all line work. So it's horizontal lines, depending on what side the paper you're drawing on. Could be vertical if we're going holding the paper vertical. Oh, that's another thing, is when we're picking what side of the paper to draw on, there's a vertical and a horizontal. I'm on the horizontal right now because I needed all of the length of the paper for this. And if I wanted to do a vertical and drew it on here, it would be too tight to draw that right there, and I'd have all this room here. But sometimes you want a vertical drawing. So right now we're doing the horizontal. So that's another detail that we have to take into account every time we choose what side of the paper to draw on, and like what the length or the width. Just going to do a little bit more pen work here on the sides to give me that three-dimensional effect. I think some of the lines need to be a little bit tighter and neater on this area here, so I'm going to do another cross hatch coming on here to give me, tighten up a little bit of the pen work. Same here, just make it a little bit neater. Okay. And I think I'm going to take this and go with my brush, my paper this way. I'm going to do a few little lines coming off of the metal. And they're going to be at different lengths and different thicknesses apart from each other. All right. Okay, so like right here. And I'm going to come across like here. And then come all the way down. And that will give you nice pen work too. It straightens up some of the areas that were kind of like needing it. That there. I like the different textures too. It does give it a more finished look. Let's do that all the way across here. So we're going to just bring these lines in like this. And you sort of just like look around the drawing and see what can be finished more. Okay, and let's do that right there. Let's make these lines a little nicer. And I'm just going to darken this line right here where the paintbrush and the metal meet. And same thing here. I'm just going to get this a little bit thicker line here. Just it makes it more graphic looking, I think, too. Even though we're having it look, this is like more of a fine art piece. I think we're getting pretty close to done. I'm going to leave that piece there, maybe just a little bit of line work right in here so they're similar, and just do that. Just sticking some of these lines up. Now on the metal here, we do have a metal here. I'm going to just put one line, one long line through the center of all three of these. And what that will do is it won't keep that too white looking. It's too white right now. And just still give us that highlight with breaking up that space. Okay. On the nail heads, there's rust and like a striation coming off on here. Let me just straighten that out. So what we're going to do on that is we're going to make these little marks, and they're just like light gray marks that come off of that area on the two areas. They're just long little, and that gives it that effect that rust is coming on there. And I'm just going to do that, maybe skip a couple lines and just do that right here. That just looks like you looked at everything and you didn't leave any details out. It's pretty good. Now what we're going to do is put the shadows in. So to put that first shadow on, I'm just going to go really tight. And I usually would use some cross hatching or some line work there, but this really needs to be more like this. And then we'll do a secondary shadow, which is much lighter and more line work. So just keep following that around. Turn your paper around. Even if you're using a pencil or your pen, you still want to do this technique where you're outlining it pretty thickly, right against it. And it makes sense when you look at the drawing that it has like that first shadow underneath it. Because we have so much line work, I didn't want to add yet another line of lines, so that's why I'm doing this thicker right in here. Okay, let's just follow all the way around. It's actually making it look like the whole piece is thicker opposed to a shadow at this point, but when we go to do the secondary shadow, it'll look nicer. Okay, so now the shadow comes out from here. Let's draw this around here like that. So I'm going to go right here and go in this direction and go over that area and put the shadow in it. And just keep following that. Okay. This is a great practice for you for the line work. Okay, so we got that first initial shadow in, so I'm gonna take this off for a second and put it in with a pencil, the secondary shadow. So it comes around like this, it follows it, and it pops out a little bit like this, and just remember you're following all the shapes because the shadow does that. And this comes at an angle and meets this. So now you have what would be, remember the shadow wouldn't come out here, it comes from this point. So instead of doing the coloring and it wouldn't look good, let's add just some vertical lines. And I'm not going to cross hatch here, I just want to indicate that it looks like a shadow by doing some really nice neat lines that come like this. And just sort of like following that shape. And we're near done after we get this done. And this will be your first drawing that you did incorporating line work. And actually it's the first drawing for anything. So, and I really appreciate you showing to class. And, you know, I hope you subscribe and come every week and stop by to see the shorts that I make. Some will be on technique, some will be on art, some just are random information. Okay. And if you have ideas of things you want to accomplish in class, just feel free to put them in the comments and I can look at it and figure out where we can, you know, do that in the lesson. I appreciate that. Okay, so now I'm just going to finish up the line work here. And I'm doing this on camera because I just want you to see the process of doing it, and you know, plus I think it's fun to watch something come around that was, you know, just sort of simple and then became more complicated as we added more line work to it. What I'll do is once I'm done with putting all these little lines in, I'm going to erase the pencil mark that we put in, because what I want to do is just let these lines sit on their own, and I think having the pencil mark on it will keep it more confined, and I don't want it to look like that. Part of me wants to crosshatch this, but I don't want to, because I think that the drawing looks strong on its own. I'm going to go around and do like fixing things. So I want this to be more defined. I'll come and make more line work on the edge here so that it is on its own more defined. Just go around looking for things that you want to make it look a little bit neater. Come right to there. It's okay to do like a fill in here where I'm filling in this to be more dark right on the edge there. That's fine to do that. It's my dog shaking himself there. So, okay, let's do a few little random hairs there, and then I'm going to do some darker pieces right here, right along the edge. I just think it looks good to have some darks too, because you don't want to have everything in the middle in a mid-tone or too light. Like the brush, notice I didn't touch the wood. I don't want to get too overworking the project where your eyeball doesn't have any resting points. So you have to have areas other than the white space that your eye can just sort of rest on. You don't want it so overcomplicated you don't know where to look. Okay, I don't want to leave any of that white on the ends there. Okay, so now I have really dark areas, so I need to even this out by going over on the edges here. And that will give me that look that I need. Okay, let me look around. Oh, remember that piece where I messed up on the metal? Let's straighten that out by some cross hatching right on here. And that mess up goes away because it blends in with the pen work. Now it's even. That's what's good about being creative. You just figure out what to do. And just kind of like maybe do a little cross-hatching on some of these little spaces to make them like a little more interesting, and the pen work a little bit nicer. Right in these corners. I always look for corners to add a little bit more dense areas, density, or whatever you want to call it. See how I just added in that corner there? I'll do a little bit right in here too. It just makes your eye, it looks more complete. Just do this a little bit more here. Yeah, I want that to be neater. Okay, so this is your first drawing, so you don't have to get as complicated as I got, but feel free to take it further than what we did. If there's any other way that you want to accomplish it, like thickening lines, maybe thickening this line here a little bit. So I think we're done with our first drawing, and I hope you come back to class next Tuesday, or no, next Thursday. Next Thursday is class, and let's I'm going to work on getting a Facebook page so you can share drawings and ideas, and Instagram too, so I will tell you about that in the next class coming up. Bye for now. My name's Lex.